Mr. Speaker, sometimes you do not hear the pronunciation of the name, so I do not want to take the risk of calling someone in a name that is not their name.
And the name tags are also there.
Unfortunately,
he is Honorable Robert Mbui. Go ahead and answer his question.
I am physically challenged from seeing far. Honorable Mbui, you will excuse me, but data mining, as I had said earlier, it is something that needs to be checked. It needs to be regulated. What sort of data is going into whose hands? You did give an example of a company that was collecting, I think, data from Kenyans, and they were paying. So government should be able to regulate who is it that is collecting data from Kenyans. And I think that's not a big deal to do. We should be able to quickly.
In fact, should we allow any foreigner to come and mine our data?
In my mind, we should not, unless it is done through a government agency. And for what reason, Mr. Speaker, we would want to give data of Kenyans to foreigners? For me, that is a straight no. But you find that Kenyans are very enterprising, Mr. Speaker. When the rumor was that you will get 10,000 shillings after you register, sometimes Kenyans don't give a damn of some of those things as long as there is some enterprise happening. So we should be able to engage people and them understand that it is wrong for them to give data to anyone. So I want to tell Kenyans to be careful on who you allow to take information from yourself. But if we have rules and regulations on how this thing is done, it can be controlled. Now, Mr. Speaker, I think it's Honorable Mule. I got...
Yes, Robert?
You haven't finished my questions on pending bills and what Kenyans on social media are saying about this docket.
I didn't get the question on pending bills, what it was.
Yeah, it was about pending bills that the government owes to media houses that have led to some of them collapsing and journalists not being paid so much money. So what will you do when you get into office? And the other one was what Kenyans are saying on social media. They're saying that this docket should have been given to a young, techno-savvy youth in furtherance of Article 10 of the Constitution. So what do you have to say about that?
Let me deal with the first one because it's fairly easy. The issue of pending bills, Mr. Speaker, I had addressed the issue of pending bills to Kenyans, not now media owners. Kenyans themselves who've built roads, who've built hospitals, and their money is held by government. I'm saying we must have a way of controlling pending bills. And if we digitize government procurement, media houses procurement, no one will go and spend money they cannot pay. And I gave an example of a governor who walks into office, like I left office, somebody else walked in, and quickly they want to commit money for roads, for either one reason, to build roads, or another reason. And Kenyans quickly run and put their money into those programs or projects, and to wait for many years not to be paid. There must be a way we can legislate on the issue of committing funds that you do not have. But if I am confirmed...
Well, there is already a legislation. The PFM Act says it's a criminal offense to procure goods or services in a public entity without an attendant budget.
I am guided, Mr. Speaker, but you will see pending bills of some counties. For example, not even media houses. A county has a pending bill list of 7 billion, but their budget for development for 1 year is 1.1 billion. So really out there are many criminals that need to be brought to book. Very many criminals, including government itself. When you procure services of a media house and you do not pay, again, it touches on the same thing, procurement. And you will understand, Mr. Speaker, that there used to be something called e-procurement. which doesn't work. I am sure it doesn't work for a reason. Because if a procurement works and if MIS works, and the controller of budget is in between, you would never be able to commit money to projects for as long as those systems are working. So again, the laws are made here. Sometimes they are not enforced, like you're talking of the misuse of computer and cyberbullying and all those things. The law is there. It's just the enforcement. Suffice to say, there is now a new app.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to clarify that some of the pending bills, the Honorable Nominee, it's not necessarily that there was no budget that was there. There was budget and government procured the services, but there was no exchequer when the service was done. There was no money. You know, government, a budget is a document of intent. So they go and collect money. If they don't collect enough money, then they have no money to pay. That is the way it is most of the time. And if you can pay, if you can deal with the pending bill in your ministry in the manner that you understand, the better for the government.
Sure. Mr. Speaker, if you allow me to school my friend Honorable Junet a little bit on the issue of pending bills, is that the money was not there then. But if you look at it aggregately, the total is that if you have closed your books of the year and you have 7 billion as pending bills, and the following year it turns to 9, it means there was no money for that particular project. Otherwise, if it was, you should be able to clear your bills in the successive year. But how you can accumulate 7 billion as your pending bills, even if there was no money exchequer then, it means there was a 6-point-something billion that you spent that you could not, you should not have spent.
Mr. Speaker, let me ask the nominee this question then. The pending bills, for example, for roads, is 700 billion shillings at the national level now. So does that mean that all that procurement was done without a budget?
The simple answer, Mheshimiwa, is as the Speaker says, the PMF Act stipulates how you spend government money.
Speaker.
So, Dawood, what is it? Can he respond to that first?
Yeah, it's regarding the pending bills he's speaking about. I want to ask him, because he was the governor of Kiambu, when he left, what amount of pending bill did he leave behind for his successor?
Mr. Speaker, that is an easier one. It was about 300 million, and these were projects running between my the second last year of the term, and we would have been able to pay those pending bills in the following year. But today I hear it stands to 6-point-something billion. I would not say why.
Can you respond quickly? We are running out of time. Go to Mule's question.
Mule.
Then Raso, then Ishuria.
To protect Kenya's investors, business, and the Gen Z, sometimes government buries its head in the sand and pretends sometimes not to know exactly what is happening. Mr. Speaker, if I'm confirmed and I go to the minister, we should be able to bring these things to light and discuss openly on the problems that face the country. You also asked me why me and not a Gen Z. Mr. Speaker, this country has room for all of us. Gen Zs, millennials, and yourself and I, Mr. Speaker. So that
you didn't appoint yourself, so
no, I'm
you don't have
saying,
to belabor that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for
go on and answer the question.
Your guidance.
Yes,
I think I have answered Mr. Mule's questions.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sorry to call for a point of order.
Who is that?
Myself.
Yes, Mule.
Maybe I can repeat my questions to the nominee because he seems to have lost track of the question. My first question was, earlier you had alluded that you can have a discussion with Starlink. And Starlink, introduction of Starlink in this country will definitely kill Safaricom tomorrow.
Yes.
And therefore, the government will lose the revenue they have been collecting from Safaricom and also the investment they have done on the fiber cable.
Right.
My question is, how will you protect foreigner investors not to come and kill Kenyan's company on the expense of what they intend to do in the country, despite that there are satellite on the river? There is massive investment of fiber cable in this country. Question number two, we are talking about Vision 2030. The emphasis is that the development of knowledge-based economy, highlighting the emphasis of ICT integration in education to enhance productivity and efficiency within the country. How will you use the office, if approved, to make sure that ICT become a key pillar in education sector in this country, to make sure that we don't have this issue we are facing whereby we cannot leverage on what comes out of the school and take advantage of the concert city as it was envisaged by the Vision 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Mole, the issue of Starlink that I referred to when I think I was answering Honorable Koichi's question was in as far as we don't have fiber optic and we don't have masts in places like, for lack of a better example, Garissa or one of those places. And masts of aerial masts of Starlink are available. And as we speak now, today, Kenyans are using Starlink. I am told by CA, the regulator, that they are in talks with Starlink on conditions that they've been given to work in Kenya. And I'm sure those conditions will surface in the matter that you raise. It's also important to understand that most of the investors in this field are also foreign, and they are private businesses. As a businessman, where I stand, we should be able to create a fair playing ground and competition for businesses, because again, it will be unfair to protect some modern and innovative ideas from coming into society like Kenya simply because we would want to protect. I'm sure the regulator should be able to find a balance where we do not lock out. I will tell you that from where I sit, I know that Starlink has given a lot of work in Nairobi in terms of connectivity until they do not have the frequency anymore. But Kenyans, as innovative as they are, they're able to go to Meru, buy a Starlink dish and activate it in Meru and bring it back to Nairobi. One is the speeds that Kenyans are talking about, because you will get speeds of up to 200 Mbps on a 2,800 fee, and that is what Kenyans want, value for money. So we should be able to strike a balance on those things. Education part of it. I'm sure that if I am confirmed, we should be able to set out a curriculum that will be used in TVETs, used in the constituency hubs and in the ward hubs as training centers for Kenyans to acquire the necessary skill as one of the pillars in the master plan for ICT and digital economy, and then use the young innovators, the young Gen Zs and others to be able to start their own small hubs where every corner of the country a Gen Z will be involved in digital enterprise for their own good. So that's my take. There was a question from Shuria about the CA tax compliance. I'm not sure exactly what that was. If I can get, yeah. I'm not sure exactly, Speaker, how.
He is left. Go to the next by
Yes, there was a
Russell.
question by, I think, Mheshimiwa from SACCO. Problem of cyberbullying and attacks, especially the threat on the 20,000 services on e-citizen. Again, Mr. Speaker, this is the issue of control and regulations of what, so that we can create firewalls and things like that that stop interference and hacking of government services. And it has happened in the first world, and we should be able to do that ourselves here in Kenya. So we should be on the forefront in making sure that these services are free from interference from hackers, attackers, and bullies.
Rahab, you'll pass. Mishi?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, much of the vital questions have already been asked, but I'll just ask a few of them. My first question is on the internet outage by service providers, which often disrupt businesses, education, and access to critical services, leading to significant consumer losses. If approved, what policies or regulations will you implement to ensure internet service provider compensate users for prolonged outages? Furthermore, how will your ministry enforce service level agreements to guarantee reliability and accountability from providers? My second question, our constitution envisage right to information, and as Parliamentary Service Commission, being one of the commissioners, we have a dream of ensuring that Kenyans can follow live proceeding in our parliament, both the houses, that both in the chamber and also in our committee meeting. We have tried, but we have limited resources. Do you think there is a room for collaboration between your ministry and Parliamentary Service Commission to ensure that we actualize this dream? And my last question is to appreciate and consider the recent completion of the Mombasa to Malaba fiber project aimed at enhancing connectivity. My question will be, what specific programs are you going to put in place to ensure that the local communities can benefit, and in particular the youth within those counties where we have that project of Mombasa Malaba fiber project, to ensure at least we have like digital literacy and access on online opportunities? Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Yes, Nominee.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of internet outage, again, this is a big problem in the country, and every time you call these providers, they have stories that they are not aware. So we probably may need to do some regulations that and ask every provider to be able to monitor outage. But it's tricky because you will find, Mr. Speaker, we have some providers who have capacity of 1 gig in a certain area, but they have acquired or given internet to double that capacity, meaning every other time half of the places will not be working. And this is something the regulator should be able to take up quickly and make sure that we have consistent, stable internet for business. But you will also see that most of the internet services are based on stable power. So if we have unstable Kenya power supply, you will find that sometimes there is outage because of lack of energy from Kenya Power. So it cuts across departments. But we should be able to bring these people together and see what we can do to reduce outage. one of the ways, Mr. Speaker, to do so, if it is a resort of power, is to have green energy available, and solar is really not that expensive. A hub can get 4 panels that will keep the hub running for probably 70% of the time when the sun shines. But yes, it's a concern for many. It's also a concern that you will pass some places on mobile network is not working, 3G or 5G. So it's something that I should be able to take up with the regulator and see what it is that the department can do, even in terms of compensating people on the time that they have lost. But knowing businessmen in Kenya as we are, sometimes it's tricky when you start talking of compensations, but it is something that can be looked into. I don't know exactly why PSC or Parliament would not have stable internet when government owns 20% of the internet on the cable. So, Madam Misha, Honorable Misha, if I'm confirmed, I will bring a direct line of internet into the National Assembly. And that should be internet that is almost free. Because if you look at internet as a pipe of water, it is full of water flowing, and it doesn't stop flowing. So if it is not tapped, it means it goes to waste. Again, Mr. Speaker, policy-wise, it's important that we try and classify internet as not only essential, but a vital, essential, and desirable commodity. You will find that water is a utility, power is a utility. I would want to drive the ministry, if I'm confirmed, Mr. Speaker, to classify internet as a vital, essential, and desirable utility, so that the issues of way leave, etc., and the fees that are charged by counties become a thing of the past, so that we can move internet to the whole republic and people enjoy high-speed internet. You will find that even things like hotspots that were put by government, most of them are not working because they were put, internet connected, the switches were put, the extenders were put in place, but there was no sustainability plan. And in my first few days in office, if you confirm me, is to make sure that we have an arrangement with ISPs who have services there and probably have cross-trade with what they pay in fees, and they man those public hotspots so that there is internet every corner of the republic. As the president says, every market should have internet, and that is my belief.